I was debating on whether or not I wanted to do a creepy thoughts on this subject. It's been about a day since this thing happened, and uh, at some point I do want to do a longer video or something on this subject or similar subjects to this. But I was watching wrestling last night, and it was pretty much Monday Night Raw, WWE, which honestly I've been watching it more lately just out of habit than the fact that it's actually that good, because the show really isn't that good that much anymore. And I do get made fun of for quite a bit for still watching it, even from Uncle Bill, which I think Jess has kind of replaced his Monday viewing habits with Teen Mom, which, yeah, how could he make fun of me when he's watching fucking Teen Mom? But anyway, it was a regular Monday Night Raw, sports entertainment / wrestling show or whatever. And probably about 2 hours into the show, or maybe an hour and a half into the show, about halfway through the show. It's a 3-hour show now, which that's a whole other thing we could talk about. There was a tag team match with the Primetime Players versus Daniel Bryan and Kane. And I want to be quite honest with you. The only thing I noticed when it actually happened was that the crowd was looking over the other side, and I just figured, it must be a fight or something like that. Because Michael Cole was still commentating, and I got to admit, I was kind of fading in and out myself as far as just, nodding off and all that. And then when they came back, they had a lot of, pre-tape stuff playing. And then Michael Cole came on, and, oh, man, when I saw his face, it brought chills down my spine, because it was the exact same look that Jim Ross had in 1999 when I was watching the Over the Edge pay-per-view where Owen Hart passed away. And I was because he said during the update that they've taken Jerry Lawler to the back. They're currently doing CPR on him. He passed out, and it didn't look good. So I was like, holy shit, he has fucking died. He just had a match earlier that night, a brief one, a real short match. Didn't, for a 63-year-old guy, he's almost 63 years old. He seemed to be getting around very fucking well for somebody that age. So it's always surprising. But stuff like that can happen to anybody. And Jerry Lawler, just, give you some feedback on Jerry Lawler. I knew of Jerry Lawler in the early 90s watching USWA. He was kind of like he was the guy down there. USWA, they went through many incarnations, and I think I was watching it pretty much from 91 to 93, and then our TV station quit carrying it. And then not long before around that same time they quit carrying it, they brought Lawler in, WWF at the time, and it was bizarre because he was a bad guy, and in Memphis he was like the king of wrestling. He was like the Elvis of wrestling, and he made fortune upon fortune down there, and still does. Did a lot of independent shows and stuff like that. And the guy, like a lot of people, probably don't realize how talented this guy is. I mean, he, I think, one of the best feuds from WrestleMania last year was Michael Cole and Lawler. I thought that was the best build, honestly. Like, I really did. And Lawler is like one of the best baby faces, that he just knows the psychology. Not exactly the best in-ring guy, you know. But my God, his facial expressions, his, mic skills and interview skills, stuff like that. I mean, my God, this guy is so talented and is one of the last, and this is why I hope everything turns out okay for him. I mean, I hope it, because he just genuinely seemed like a great guy. Never heard anybody ever say a bad thing about Jerry Lawler. And he was one of those guys, too, that he had evidently never smoked, never drank, was always entertaining, man. I mean, one of the last figures on WWE right now that is from, he and JR were the team from the Attitude Era, the commentating team. And, if he's not able to come back, I will totally understand. I just hope everything works out well for him and that he's able to live out the rest of his days and enjoy them. And hopefully he'll have a long time left. And the latest word is that he is stable, but they don't know, his brain lost oxygen for like 10 minutes. He was out of it for about 10 minutes. He was clinically dead, from what I understand, and they brought him back. They shocked him a few times, and had this happened, I guess one of the things that you can look at as a positive on this, because Lawler wrestles at tons and tons of little independent shows. He did all across the country. That it's a blessing that it happened, where medical was right on him, right then and there. And he was a minute or two away from a major hospital, But the thing that I wanted to talk about, in addition to that, is I think that the wrestlers themselves, because Michael Cole is a character, and even as an announcer, I was never a really big fan of his. But the thing is like, you can't help but watch and feel for these guys, because it is really like a family, that these guys travel so much, and it's like a brotherhood, and I can't imagine the difficulties these guys go through when stuff like this happens, and it does happen from time to time. I mean, major injuries, at least in the ring, and these guys are constantly on the road, and it's just, people don't think about that sort of thing, I don't think. And it just really makes me appreciate what these guys do even more. Because we always complain about angles and the writing and shit like that. And it does deserve complaining. Deserves to be, called out from time to time. But the thing is, all of these guys, this is like, the best way to really describe it is like a Broadway show with athletes that never ends, They give them 1 or 2 weeks off for Christmas and New Year's, pretty much, and that is it. These guys are constantly going. So it makes me appreciate it even more. And at the end of Raw, John Cena, CM Punk, and Bret Hart had an amazing freaking segment. And I just don't know how they fucking did it. I'm not a big fan of the current product right now, but I will always be a wrestling fan. I've been a wrestling fan since I was 4 or 5 years old. You know, you will never come anywhere where I've been, my house, and not notice that I'm a major wrestling fan. I've got wrestling belts, hundreds of wrestling DVDs and tapes. I've got a 2 gigabyte hard drive on my TV that has every WCW pay-per-view there ever was. So that'll give you an idea. But I think people take for granted, and people that aren't wrestling fans have no clue. They're kind of ignorant to the fact that these guys are not only extremely talented at what they do, but most of them don't hardly get paid any goddamn thing, even at the highest level. So when stuff like this happens, and to see the level of professionalism there with these guys too, it just makes you appreciate it even more. And I really, really hope that everything turns out okay with Jerry Lawler. And, if he can't come back to the announce booth, it would suck, but it would be better than not having him at all, because he's contributed so much over the years. And one of my all-time favorites to listen to, just constantly entertaining. And, I don't know what else to say. I just really hope everything turns out okay. And, we're going to be, I guess, updated tomorrow on the scans of his brain and to see what that might turn up, So, I guess that's it. I mean, I just wanted to make a little video on Lawler and, tell you that I always thought the guy was extremely talented and, multi-talented too. I mean, he's an artist, commentator. He did radio and stuff before he was in wrestling, I think. He's 60. He'll be 63 in a couple months. And he has been wrestling for over 40 years. So, yeah, he is definitely the king when it comes to professional wrestling. So, hope everything turns out okay for the king. And that is it for the latest in the Creepy Thoughts video series. So, it's a little late here, actually, too, so I want to hit the sack, and I'll talk to you guys later.